The Secrets of Doctor Who is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who, where we discuss everything about the hit BBC series Doctor Who. And today we're discussing, Kill the Moon. The 12th Doctor story. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and joining me today on the panel are Jimmy Akin. Hey, Jimmy.
Howdy, Dom.
And Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father Cory.
Hi, Dom.
Folks, be sure to get your very own Secrets of Doctor Who t-shirt or phone case or mug or whatever by visiting sqpn.com/merch, M-E-R-C-H. I want to tell you about another show on the network you're sure to enjoy called The Secrets of Stargate. Find that wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/Stargate. All right, yes, we are back to talk about one of my least favorite Doctor Who episodes. A little preview there of what we're going to be talking, how we're going to be discussing this from my perspective. But Jimmy, could you give us a recap of what happens in this episode?
Clara is furious at the Doctor for telling her student Courtney Woods that she's not a special person. So to make her feel special, the Doctor takes Courtney and Clara to the moon in the year 2049. When they get there, they find an American space shuttle with 100 nuclear bombs and a British crew of astronauts on a mission to do something. Because the moon has, for no scientific reason whatsoever, been gaining mass, and that's been causing problems on Earth. There's some creepy misdirection involving dead Mexican astronauts and moon spiders, but the real issue is that the moon is an egg and it's hatching. They can either use the nukes to kill the moon or not, but the Doctor refuses to make the decision, takes the TARDIS, and bails on Clara, the astronaut, and Courtney. Clara gets on the radio to the whole world and asks them to clap their hands if they want Tinkerbell to live. But the Earth doesn't want Tinkerbell to live and votes to kill the moon. The astronaut gets ready to detonate the bombs, but at the last moment, Clara stops her. The Doctor then reappears in the TARDIS and whisks them to a beach on Earth, where they watch the moon hatch into a gigantic space dragon, which then promptly and completely implausibly lays an identical moon egg. Afterwards, Clara is again furious with the Doctor, this time for how patronizing he's been and how he forced her into making a decision which she almost didn't make. And she tells him to get out of her life. Though she does later have a chat with Danny Pink, who says to tell him again when she's calm. The end.
All right, I'm going to start with my overall impression. This is a terrible episode of Doctor Who. Everyone involved in it should be censured, fired, and prevented from working on TV ever again, and may God have mercy on their souls. What do you guys think?
Well,
I'm over the top.
I don't like this episode, but I tried to go into it forgetting what I knew. I mean, pretending I don't know where it's going. And the first half of it, before we get to the moon egg reveal, is okay. Yeah. It's genuinely creepy. The webs and the moon spiders and everything, all that's genuinely creepy. It's when we get to the 24-minute mark and they reveal that the moon is an egg, that's when this episode falls off a cliff.
I would agree. I mean, there are logical problems before that, but from a story fun perspective, there's some stuff in there that's okay.
Well,
Father Cory?
I'm very much in agreement with Jimmy on that. And we've seen stories in Doctor Who where, the center of the Earth is actually a spaceship that created all the material onto it to create the planet. It was formed around this spaceship, and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's nothing unusual. But yeah, the idea that the moon has been sitting there for hundreds of millions of years as an egg.
Billions. I mean,
billions.
The Doctor says 100 million, which is like, okay, no, it's billions, because the way the moon really formed in the real world, at least according to our best information, is that the Earth was originally a much smaller planet, and it got struck by a Mars-sized body called Theia, which then fragmented it all and spun off the moon. And so that's like 4.5 billion years ago.
Right.
So it co-formed with the Earth.
Exactly. But I mean, either way, the fact that it's been sitting there for that long, and only now in 2049 is it going to hatch.
Convenient.
And then, like you said, it produces another moon that's exactly identical size and everything. And so it's just that it's just implausible. And although for me, the part where it really went downhill was we've got to make a choice, kill it or not. And the doctor says, oh, by the way, ciao.
Yes.
And jumps out of there.
Yeah, for the first time ever.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has he made major choices for humanity and thought nothing of doing it?
Right.
So that's the point where, for me, it was just like, okay, this is where it hit rock bottom. The moon egg thing is like, okay, fine, whatever. The point where the doctor is like, now I'm Clara, I'm going to make you make this decision for all of humanity. Have a good day.
And let's get to that. I kind of want to,
I have a science rant.
Yeah, okay.
You can do that too.
Yeah, we can do that too. Do you want to do a science rant up front, or you want it as we go?
Well, let me do a science rant up front, and anything I miss, I'll bring up as we go.
Okay.
So the idea, apparently completely implausibly, because they've had contact with, they had aliens smashing into London in the first season of the revived Doctor Who publicly, even though, aliens, we've had repeated alien invasions in Doctor Who of contemporary Earth in the last few years, and somehow they decide to cancel the space program and stop going into space, even though aliens are out there to invade. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But they've done that so they've scrapped, all the nations of the world have scrapped their space programs, apparently. So we've got a disused American shuttle with a group of disused British astronauts on it. And a bunch of nukes, which apparently these are the last nukes on Earth, we're told. And they've sent them to the moon because there have been massive tidal waves, like all over the place on Earth at once. And we're told that the reason for that is that the moon has been gaining in mass. Okay, eggs hatching don't gain mass. Right? That's why they're eggs. They've got a shell around them to protect. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of gas exchange going on, but the reason you have an egg is that it carries all of the nutrients the baby organism is going to need inside the egg, and that's what the baby organism inside eats. So you don't have eggs gaining or losing mass. It just transforms the mass from, say, the albumin protein in the egg white into the proteins in the body of the baby organism. Yep. So it eggs just convert mass. They don't gain or lose it. So that's huge science howler number one.
Right.
Science howler number two, even if eggs did gain mass, where is it coming from? The moon is in a vacuum.
Right.
Yep.
You're not gonna be picking up appreciable mass from an occasional meteorite that hits. Thirdly, we're told that the moon has gained 1.3 billion tons in mass. That's all.
That's nothing.
1.3 billion. Okay, so that's effectively 10 to the 9th tons. You know what the mass of the moon is? 10 to the 20 tons. So it's 11 orders of magnitude bigger. This is 1/100 billionth or 1 billionth of a percent. 1 billionth of a percent of the mass of the moon is how much its mass is increased. And that's causing amazing tidal waves on Earth? I don't think so. The moon increases by 1 billionth of a percent in mass, and that's a science disaster? That makes no sense at all.
That's like gaining 3 molecules of weight in an average human being, right? I mean, that's tiny.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to do stupid science, don't put numbers on it that make you more stupid. Just say you've been gaining in mass. And then at the end, they make it sound like that the creature in the moon, it looks kind of like a space dragon and kind of like a space butterfly, but they make it sound like it's the increased mass.
Mm-hmm.
And well, if that were true, then you'd still have all the rest of the mass of the moon shattered. Mm-hmm. And that would pummel Earth and end life on it. Instead, they make it, the doctor says, oh yeah, and the shell disintegrates harmlessly. No, I don't care if that creature was 99% of the mass of the moon, that 1% shell is going to destroy life on Earth.
Even if it disintegrates into grains.
Exactly. It's nuclear winter at best.
Right.
So, and then just laying an identical moon egg is out of nowhere with equal mass to the original moon. It's just so stupid scientifically.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure when they talked about, going back to the first point about the baby dragon inside the egg gaining mass, they're thinking like a mammalian infant or baby in the womb that does gain mass because they get the nutrients from the mother.
Yeah, as the mother eats and continues to bring in new nutrients into the system. That's why we aren't born in eggs.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it's clear first of all, it was written by people who have never done things like farm chickens, because they would know that's ridiculous to even think of an egg doing that if they'd actually seen like a chicken go through its biological process.
Right.
I mean, so.
Yep. So there's lots more, folks. So stick around. We got
science issues. We got moral issues. We've got, we got them all.
Right. So, the structure of the show is we start at the end with the usual post teaser, back to the beginning thing. We start, the teaser is the drama at the end. Then we go 12 hours later, whatever it is, just like all mediocre TV episodes do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't have a problem. So this literarily, this is known as an analeptic anachronism.
Yeah.
And it's a flash forward. And I don't have a problem with analeptic anachronisms. It's just this one's cheesy.
Yeah.
Because you've got Clara talking to the Earth. She's talking to the camera. And she's saying, we've got 45 minutes. We've got a huge decision to make. And the man who normally helps is gone. And I don't think he's coming back. So that's meant to convey the drama of the situation to us. That they've got 45 minutes. It's an important decision of some kind. The doctor has gone, and Clara doesn't think the doctor is coming back, which he doesn't for the decision, though. Of course, we know he's going to come back for the show.
Yeah.
And it's just cheesy.
My problem is when this device is used, it's often used to build in drama that the writer couldn't build in normally in the usual way. And so it's often used to artificially amp up drama. And that's really how I feel like they're doing it here is they're trying to artificially amp up this drama. The doctor, where does he go? And what kind of decision? And so we have to, wait to find that out.
They also do a fake out later in the episode where the doctor hops into a hole in the moon's surface. And Clara says, ooh, and I don't know if he's coming back. And you're thinking, oh, that's how he exits. No. He's going to exit later. So
then we have this whole thing about Courtney Woods having her feelings hurt because being told by the doctor that she's normal, which she is. There's nothing wrong with being normal and not being special and telling everyone that they're special.
That's the line from The Incredibles. If everyone's special, no one's special.
Exactly. Right. So it's just that sort of emotional
therapeutic child raising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's going to take her to the moon to make her feel special. And so we have, they materialize on this space shuttle, which is the size of a warehouse, apparently inside. That's been retired decades ago and is unusually large inside and piloted by elderly British astronauts for some reason, as you point out. Like, why are they on a space shuttle? And
with 100 nukes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And was at one point the back end was cut off and it was turned into a children's ride. Why didn't you just build a new spaceship from scratch? It would have been easier to make it space worthy. like duh. So that was, yeah. And then
The Doctor's also being a royal jerk in the
Yep.
opening part of this episode.
Yeah, well, as usual for the 12th Doctor. So
Well, in this episode, though, it's particular. I mean, it's like the entire episode, he's a jerk.
Well, and then they find out that it's crashing into the moon, that this space shuttle is going to be crashed down. And so instead of hopping into the TARDIS and taking off, they brace themselves. Well, maybe get in the TARDIS. Why are you crashing with it? He does point out that as he's hopping around testing the gravity on the moon, that they could try to kill him. Like they're holding him. I think they're holding. They have a gun. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
I don't recall seeing them have guns. He talks about, what are you going to do? Shoot me? And then he says, shoot the little girl first, because of course she doesn't want to see Clara and me shot. That would terrify her. So shoot her first, then shoot Clara, then shoot me. Only you'll have to shoot me a lot because I'll just keep regenerating. In fact, I may keep regenerating forever.
Yeah, I noticed you said that. It's interesting. Now that given what we know of the timeless child, that may actually be true.
Yeah.
So then they talk about how the moon is put on wait, so it's a suicide mission of 100 nukes.
And he's doing this thing with his yo-yo to test the gravity.
Yeah.
Which, fine. Okay, the 4th Doctor did that.
Yeah.
But the moon is increased by 0.001%. And you're going to tell that through your yo-yo?
Yeah.
Well, and you could tell that we don't want to have to make the actors do the fake moon hops, and
right.
Because they can't actually simulate the 1/6 gravity of the moon, or I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's the 6th.
Yeah. So they leave the shuttle, and the shuttle is burning. It's got fire and smoke coming off it in
a vacuum.
Vacuum. Yeah, the smoke is blowing in whatever wind is apparently on the surface of the moon now. And we also have cobwebs in a vacuum, because that's a thing. I'm not sure why these germs, because we found out that they're germs, make cobwebs, because they're not actually spiders. It turns out they're germs, the Doctor says.
Just very, very large single-cell germs.
Yep. Now, given that it's an egg, Jimmy, they do actually acknowledge how eggs work, because the moon is completely lacking in the minerals that are expected to be there, presumably because the moon egg creature dragon has been sucking it up. Also, the space station, the Mexican space station, you can tell it's Mexican because there are little cactuses everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Stereotype much, people?
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised it wasn't a sombrero.
Little bits of stereotypical Mexican decor in it. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the two male British astronauts goes back to the shuttle at one point and somehow hears the spiders crawling around in a hole again in a vacuum.
Yeah. And he's in a spacesuit.
Yep.
So if someone could travel, he wouldn't hear it because he's in a spacesuit.
They're making noise in radio frequencies.
That's what it must be. Yes. Big ugly space spiders start attacking. The Doctor determines that they're giant germs for some reason. Clara,
at one point, and this is more science stupid, but Courtney starts floating in the space station, in the Mexican space station. She just gravity ceases and she starts floating in midair during a spider attack. And the spider is able, I guess, because of the pads on the ends of its legs, is able to stick to the walls, but she's not. She's just floating helplessly. Mm-hmm. And this is apparently because of the baby dragon in the moon shifting around. No, that's not how it works.
That's not how gravity works. Right. Also, she kills it by spraying disinfectant at it. Because
she had thrown up at the end of the previous episode. The Doctor had taken Courtney into space to show her space as a reward for helping out, and she got sick. And we don't see her throw up, but we infer it. And at the beginning of this episode, she's got like Windex and she's cleaning up the mess she made. So she still has the Windex on her. She sprays the spider with that, and it kills 99% of germs, we're told, and so it killed the germ spider,
including alien space germs.
Yeah.
Clara does
well, and that's not completely implausible. I mean, the way disinfectants work, they do tend to I mean, like a lot of them will rupture the outer membrane on a germ, in which case you'd have a big thing of spider goop there.
Now that would have been fun to see. You spray it and the thing explodes.
But they've done that before.
Yes, they have. Clara does call out the obvious, which is we know that the moon doesn't blow up in 2049 because we've seen it in the future.
Oh, the Doctor has a companion from the moon in the future.
Right.
Zoe Harriet is from a moon base.
I mean, the Doctor goes to the moon several times. You can see the moon base and the second Doctor goes to, over and over again. So why Clara? It's this thing that we probably should be pointing out more often in Doctor Who stories, which is the Earth. Obviously, the Earth doesn't get destroyed in this thing because we've seen the Earth a million years in the future or what have you. And so the Doctor comes out with his explanation, which I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you guys think of this explanation? Because the Doctor says he doesn't know what's happened to the moon because it hasn't been decided yet. This is where it gets decided. In which time is in flux, I guess.
Yeah. So they've kind of made this thing where the Doctor can see all time and space, and that goes back to the Ninth Doctor, that they really kind of, I can see all things. I can feel the Earth spin and all that whole line with Rose. And all of a sudden now he's got gray areas that are like static if there's a major decision that needs to be made. And I would assume he can see what happened after the decision, but he can't actually see the decision.
Yeah, he says they're like gray spots, and they're sort of, I guess, the opposite of fixed points.
Mm-hmm.
When he knows, okay, this has to happen, it has to happen this way. There's nothing I can do about it, or it's going to cause a paradox. Is a fixed point. But then he also occasionally has places which he could just be explained in terms of, I just have never studied this.
Mm-hmm.
But here they're going for a more mystical explanation. So it's like, I've got a gray patch. There's something undecided here. I can't see how. I can't see what's going to happen.
I suppose the other explanation is he knows that Clara's the one who makes this decision, and so
he's just flat out lying.
Yeah, I mean, he has been known to lie, right? So it could be that, I suppose.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. On a writing level, I think they kind of realize they've put themselves in a fixed point of time by even having the concept of a fixed point in time. And so now they needed to have something that was the opposite of it. Like you said, Jimmy, where it's like, no, we have to have something where the Doctor doesn't know what's going to happen. And you would think that would be a lot more things than just this, but.
Right. Because if he does know everything that's going to happen, that really sucks the drama out of stuff. So yeah, we have to give him some blind spots. So you mentioned, Jimmy, the Doctor at one point jumps into a pit filled with amniotic fluid. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, which he says is the stuff life comes from. It's like, no, that's not what life comes from. Amniotic fluid is generated in mammals, not in eggs. Eggs don't have amniotic fluid in them. They have yolks. And amniotic fluid and yolks have two completely different functions in gestation.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So, the Doctor, you need to go back to biology and find out how life is made.
Yeah.
Doctor, we need to have a conversation about the birds and the bees, and you're a grandfather.
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe Time Lords are different. But I don't want to necessarily get into that. That's a whole nother area. So we find out that Courtney is posting photos from the moon on her Tumblr, which is very date specific. Yes, that's
I like
2015.
I like how the British astronaut says, "Oh, my grandmother used to post things on her Tumblr."
Yeah. So, and then this is where things really fall apart, and we're told that the moon is an egg. It's a dragon egg, a giant dragon egg, and it's the only one of its kind in all the universe.
Of course.
Oh,
and it's around Earth, of course.
So how did it evolve if it's the only thing, one of its kind in the universe?
And it's apparently, only one of them can exist at a time and then give birth. It's like the Phoenix, I suppose, is supposed to be.
It's very much a Phoenix type story.
Yeah. And this is where we kind of get into the morality discussion, which is the debate over saving the life of one baby, alien dragon baby, versus 7 or 9 or 10 billion, however many there's on Earth at this point.
And this is where the episode has a little bit of redemption, because there's a very strong pro-life statement here.
Mhm.
This is not just I mean, it's science stupid as heck, but
Yeah.
this is about an abortion. Do we kill this unborn baby or not? And the British astronaut lady who wants to kill it is clearly in the wrong, whereas Clara and Courtney, who want to save the unborn baby, are clearly in the right. And
Well-
they even defend it, and in striking terms. Like when the British astronaut lady says, this thing is harming us, Clara comes back with, you can't blame your baby for kicking.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
I kind of want to dispute that just a little bit, because if this is a big dumb chicken, then clearly you kill the chicken to save 9 billion people.
Well, and that's what they don't end up exploring really is this thing. Now, instead of debating, is this thing something that would have a right to life, they fuzz over that issue with it's one of a kind. So we should keep it for scientific reasons. Or they're not really even thinking it through that far. But I do have to give the show props.
Yeah.
For they're trying to do a pro-life plot here.
Mhm.
And it's so close to the surface, I think they're doing it semi-consciously. They're making a statement about the value of unborn human life. It is vastly different than, say, than what television was like. TV is much more pro-life now than it was decades ago. Like in the 1970s, there was an episode of Maude. Maude was a very popular show at the time, starring B. Arthur, who was she was playing a flaming, political liberal, and she has an abortion. She's like in her 40s or something, and she gets pregnant by her husband and has an abortion, and it's treated as her right as a woman to do that, and it's horrific. And today you would not have that. People today sympathize with unborn babies on screen, and that's what we have going on here.
Yeah. I see that point, but yes, I agree.
But that doesn't mean the episode is any good. It just means that its heart is in the right place.
There's one or two good things about it.
Right. I just feel like I agree with you that they're making a pro-life statement, but they're not really. They didn't really address the chicken in the room, which is that is it a sentient life? If the last dodo on Earth, if it's the choice between the last dodo on Earth and all of human lives, the dodo dies. I mean, that's not even a question. So
clone it later if you want.
Right. So it just if they're going to make this argument, they had to do I think they should have done a better job. And I applaud the attempt to talk about the value of life. I'm not quite sure, as you are, that they're making an argument for human life so much as it's a save the endangered species sort of argument. But that you could go either way. It's not clear.
They talk about it as a baby, and they even compare it to your baby. You can't blame your baby for kicking.
I guess, yeah. Well, this is about when the doctor just says he's not going to do anything. For some reason, this situation is different from every single other time he's saved the Earth based on his fiat and decision, and that he will do so in the future, by the way. But this time it's different. And so Clara...
He says, in essence, this isn't my planet, it isn't my moon. Humanity has to make this decision, so I'm going to leave you three as representative examples to make it.
Yep.
Yeah, Clara does call him out on that. Like, you've been coming to Earth and doing all this stuff for so long. You are now de facto involved in this decision, but he refuses.
Well, it's clear that they wanted this to be the point where the doctor pushes her too far.
Yeah.
And I think they picked the absolute worst way they could have done that. I mean, just by saying, well, you got to make this choice that affects the billions of people down there, so bye.
It's a sort of a pointless way of him pushing it. Like this, of all the ways he could have pushed her to the brink of being angry with him, This one just seemed like, why? Like, there just seemed like to be a point for him to do it now. It just came out of nowhere. So then we have Clara making this incoherent request of the Earth to decide what to do about the thing that they don't really know about, right? Like, no one's really explained to them what they've been arguing about.
Meanwhile, they're showing us lots of pictures of germ spiders on the surface of the moon as if for no reason, but, just to be frightening.
And so people are supposed to vote by turning their lights on or off.
And this is, okay, planetary dynamics. Only half the planet is dark at any one time. So only half the planet gets a vote.
Yep.
If you're on the moon, you can only see part of the dark part of the planet. So basically, Western Europe and North America get to vote in this election and nobody else.
Well, North Korea votes no anyway, so right? Because North Korea is always dark. But if you see satellite photos of North Korea at night, it's always dark. So, but like, is it the leaders of that country decide, like, for the whole country and turn all the lights off?
Oh, I think it's everybody.
So if my light is off and every other light in my city or state is on or off, is it on or off? Can you tell just by looking from the moon whether, say, Massachusetts is voting yes or no? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And you'd have to have the cities deciding to turn off all the street lights and all the parking lot lights and all the, common areas. And,
crime spree.
Yep, exactly. And even then, again, you would have people who would say, no, I think we need to not kill it.
Yeah.
And so you'd have, and they had like one little speck of light, like somewhere in North America or something like that. It was ridiculous. Like all of France went completely dark.
Well, France,
Yeah.
My question, though, is what about the people who would want to vote to keep Tinkerbell alive and they're just asleep and not listening to their radio or whatever at the time? And so, of course, their lights are off because it's night.
Yeah. It's 2:00 in the morning. What do you expect it's going to be?
And like, how long is this? Are people given to decide? We know how elections and decisions are made here on Earth. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
they got 45 minutes to make the decision.
Yeah. Anyway, the world votes to kill the moon egg baby. And then, of course, Clara just throws that out the window.
Because as the astronaut tells us, it's an exoparasite. Really? What's it a parasite on? What's the host organism for this parasite?
I suppose Earth, in a sense. That's how it...
No.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's really the spiders of the parasite. But they vote to kill it because it or us. I vote us.
Yeah.
But Clara, of course, the vote was meaningless because Clara makes the decision anyway. Like, that was a pointless point of drama.
Yep.
Moon and Dragon.
This is one of these. Yeah. Well, again, these are one of these bombs where once you hit the abort button, you can't reset it.
Right. Dumbest
because
bomb
there's
design.
No reset button on it.
Yeah. Dumbest bomb design ever. So Moondragon hatches. The shell magically not only disintegrates but moves into another dimension or something. And maybe the shell becomes the basis of the new, as we mentioned, egg that is exactly the same size as the previous egg. Apparently, this thing is super fertile the moment it hatches. Or
it's
something.
Like a tribble.
Yeah, right.
Well,
it's born fertile.
Of course, they're also standing
born
on
pregnant.
A brightly lit beach in day and can see it perfectly.
Oh, well, but that's fine. The moon is out just as much in the day as it is at night. We just don't recognize it. But wait, North America was way in darkness. And then the doctor points down the beach and says NASA's 2,000 miles that way. And it's bright light. It's daylight. Yep. Really? And
leaves her there. Leaves the astronaut there. Like, at least take her where she, like, somewhere that could, like, you've stranded her in this random place. Yeah. Silly. And then he, pontificates, as the doctor does. I mean, that's just normal for the doctor, about this is what sends humanity back into space. This experience of this life coming from the moon and surviving this disaster. Yeah. Okay. And the Clara is, I have a word that I used. Maybe I probably won't use it on the podcast, but she's really mad.
Yeah.
Irate. Yes. That's the better word.
yeah, so she's mad, and and Courtney, the doctor says that Courtney is like super special now, and she's going to grow up to become the American president.
Yeah.
It's like not unless there's a change in the American Constitution, or if there's something about Courtney's background that we don't know, because in order to become president of the United States, you have to be native born.
Right.
Naturalized citizens cannot become president. That goes all the way back to the founding.
Why U.S. president? Why not UK prime minister? Like, why did they
pick European Union or something?
Yeah.
I mean, this was before Brexit, so
yeah.
So that didn't make any sense. But Clara is really mad, and she demands to know what the doctor knew about this situation, and she says, "Tell me what you knew, or I'll smack you so hard you'll regenerate."
I love that line.
Which is a wonderful line. That's a great line.
Yeah.
And she tells him that what he did, it was cheap, it was pathetic, it was patronizing. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, this was me trying to show my respect for you. And she says, well, respected is not how I feel. I almost let her push the button. Why did you put me in this situation where I almost didn't make the decision? So she's pressing him on what did he know about what she would do and what would happen in this situation. And she feels terrible that she almost didn't stop the lady from pushing the button. And in essence, she's telling him, you made me feel this way and I'm sick of it. Clear off, get out of my life.
Yep. Mm. Yeah. Like he tells her, you made me feel like a bloody idiot. And he says, language. And she's like, oh, don't you tell me to mind my language. You could tell it's probably been a long time since the doctor's been married, because he has no idea how to argue with a woman he's in a relationship with.
don't try to correct me when I'm this mad. You're just going to make it worse.
Yes. Oh, doctor. So she tells her to leave, go away. I don't want you to come back, which there are times when the doctor would have done that, which is kind of, interesting that he doesn't at this point. But then she's talking to Danny, as you mentioned, and he says, I recognize this look. I've seen this look before. And he says, not on you, on me. This is when I left the army. So he apparently also had a moment where he got fed up and was done with it. But he tells her that, you mentioned to me, he tells her, you're not really done with him yet. Not until you can say this when you're not still angry. And that's actually an interesting point. I grant him that, telling someone to clear off while you're angry is one thing, but when you calm down and you're thinking rationally again, if you still want them to not stick around, then it's real. So kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course we know the doctor is going to come back, so she will have a chance to talk with him, and she's not going to tell him to clear off. But from the way she's just told him off, I know for non-diegetic reasons he's going to come back, but for in-story reasons, I wouldn't count on him coming back. You just told him to leave.
Right.
He may take you at your word and not come back, and you won't be able to tell him later.
Right. And the next episode, which is Mummy on the Orient Express. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He kind of takes her on a last trip, which is kind of an odd thing to do. We'll talk about that in that one, but and that's a much better episode, frankly. But so it's kind of an interesting way to end it. And it's not as, they're again, we're making a dramatic thing. Oh no, is Clara done? But she's not, obviously, and it's just kind of like more ginned up drama.
That's like, how many times is like, oh, the doctor's so close to impending doom. Is he going to die? No, because we know there's 5 more episodes.
It's a silly cliffhanger. And, I get building drama between them in this relationship that they've created. But, it's, I don't know.
I like it better when she's throwing TARDIS keys into lava. It's more dramatic.
That is dramatic. So, Father Cory, last things to say about this episode.
We've had episodes where after I've watched it the second or third, watched it for this, after years, it's like, this isn't as bad as I remember. this is not one of those episodes. This is as bad as I remember.
Yeah. How about you, Jimmy?
Nice moon visuals.
The special effects. Yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said about the Moon Egg episode. All right, we want to finish off by taking a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create The Secrets of Doctor Who, including Mary N., Andrea J., Johannes B., Dixie V., and Christopher L. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue The Secrets of Doctor Who and all the shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And we'd also like to thank Victor Lambs, who edited this episode. That's it from us. We'd love to hear what you think of Kill the Moon. Let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com or the Secrets of Doctor Who Facebook page, or send an email to drwho@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. We'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the second Doctor story, Fury from the Deep. Until then, Father Cory Sticha, thank you for joining me and sharing The Secrets of Doctor Who.
Well, thank you, Dom.
Jimmy Akin, thank you as well.
Tell me what you knew or I'll slap you so hard you'll regenerate.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who on StarQuest. And finally, don't make me watch this again. Please.